Hi, I'm Ina, certified business and life coach, founder of Thrive with Ina podcast, and a columnist for Intentional Living magazine. There's always room for improvement in your current situation, whether it's life, business, or relationships. I help women around the world to get equipped with the exact tools that are needed to propel to the next level. On this podcast, you can learn all the encouraging stories of incredible entrepreneurs, their hardships, and the exact tools to achieve success. You can also search for mindful meditation episodes that can help you get grounded in the chaos of life and business. You can get full access to my coaching platform and this podcast on www.thrivewithina.com. And now, tune into a new episode of Thrive with Ina podcast, and happy listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another fascinating episode of Thrive with Ina podcast. Today, we have a fantastic guest, Megan. Megan is a founder of the ManFunnel Method, and we're going to talk all about the method and what it is and how she got started and how she keeps her business exciting and sustainable. So without further ado, welcome, Megan.
Thank you so much, Ina. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody out there.
We are so excited to have you on this podcast and to hear your story, how you got started, what prompted the idea of creating the method, and all the things that followed after. So tell us, how did you come up with the idea? First of all, let's tell everyone what that is. What is the ManFunnel Method?
The ManFunnel Method helps primarily remarkable, successful women to meet, attract, and even marry their soulmate quickly, if that's what they're looking to do. And so, Ina, basically, I was pounding the pavements looking for love in Manhattan for many, many years. And I could always attract a man, but I just couldn't maintain a relationship. Like every man that I really cared for left me before a year. And so at some point I had to take a long look in the mirror and figured out that I was that common denominator in my failed attempts to create and sustain healthy love. That sparked my personal development journey. As I was striving for that goal, I was really digging in and learning from mentors and doing all the things, reading and practicing. And ultimately, I had landed on some things that I was able to tweak, and I was doing it all backwards. And then I was able to meet the love of my life. We were married in the same year that we met over 10 years ago, my soulmate, Josh. And I attributed it all to the ManFunnel, what is now called the ManFunnel method of dating, which is a quantifiable, repeatable system that so many of my clients now have followed to find their one.
Wow, I am so fascinated by it all. How does one find the love of their life, right? Like that's the question. I remember myself being in the same exact position after going through several difficult relationships and then looking for my soulmate or a twin flame. And I remember the moment when I actually gave up on the idea of that actually existing is exactly when I found my soulmate. And that's so exciting for me to hear that it's happened to you, and you used your experience to help other women to find their forever plus one, forever love of their lives. And I am really excited to see how you applied your personal development into a business model and how you grew the business. You've had a business for quite some time, right? And
Yep.
tell us all about it.
Well, Ina, I just want to preface all of this by saying, like, it was very scary I got a certification in dating and relationships. That was my first coaching certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very scary to put yourself out there vulnerably, especially doing something like, 10 years ago, there weren't a lot of dating coaches. Luckily, the field is growing and it's very supportive of so many people. But at the time, there weren't a lot of people doing anything like me. Still, when I share what I do, people are like, huh? So it takes a ton of bravery. And I just want to say that if the divine has planted this strong curiosity within you and you have this feeling, it's planted because it's meant for you. And if it takes your courage to go after it, I see so many people who they're so afraid to step outside the parameters that conditioning has built up for them, like society or their parents, or just they so stuck in fear that they don't venture outside of a relationship that they could venture outside of. They don't venture outside of, you know, a career path and take that next step, um because it is so scary. Okay, now I had this feeling, you know, I knew I wanted to help women rise, like after divorce. I knew that I had changed myself on a very deep, foundational, and profound level through the inner work and the shifts that I'd found. Okay. So I knew I wanted to do that and help women just like shine and have power in their relationships and recognize toxic relationships and not get stuck in disempowering situations. But like, I didn't see how I could do it as a career, because as a therapist, you know, all the things that you need to do for licensure, like work with, you know, addictions in certain populations, during all of that, it's just like, I just knew I wanted to help women date, but I was like, how could this, I couldn't connect the dots. So luckily, instead of like, you don't need to know the whole staircase, right? So luckily I just took one step that opened up all the other steps.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And I, you know, we're both coaches, so it's kind of like a really important foundational thing that we coach our clients, that you don't have to get to the top staircase right away. It's the first step, then it's the second step, then it's the third step. And if you don't feel like going to the fourth step, take your time, learn more about the third step. So it's all about the little steps that you add. And I love that you put that into your own words, that what brought you to where you are now, it's just recognizing that you have to take that first step.
Yeah, because like confidence is only built by doing something you're afraid to do, and then you realize that like, oh, you know, I can kind of do it. Like maybe I failed, but I actually got a little close, or maybe I didn't fail, or maybe I did great. But until you take a little bit of a step, like if I hadn't signed up for the coaching school, which I had, you know, coaching people, practicing coaching on a phone call with all your whole cohort. I mean, it was so nerve-wracking, many of the things that I had to do, but I would have never started posting on social media about doing this had I not built confidence. I would have never charged people for my work had I not practiced on people for free. By the way, those 3 people who I practiced on, who hadn't had relationships, one of them for a decade, but all 3 of them kind of close to a decade, all met their person within 3 months of the coaching.
Amazing.
So that obviously built confidence. I was like, okay, I'm really on to something. This is like an algorithm, and it works. And if somebody's willing to commit and let this into them, like they will see a result.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, I know you do one-on-one coaching and you also have group coaching, right? So,
Mhm.
what is the difference between the two, besides, you know, the obvious? And
Mhm.
what do you think people get out of each one of the containers that you provide?
Sure. Well, I'm offering my ManFunnel Method boot camp. It's called a boot camp because what I want you to know is you can actually come in and make quick change. Like I don't think personal development is a quick fix, but so I have a lot of therapists, for example, who come through the program, and because they've done so much of their inner work and they're so psychologically inclined and informed, these women like I think the past handful, there's 4 that I could remember who went through recently, and like boom boom boom, like they'll meet their person right away. Like they're going to identify, oh, here's the thing that I need to tweak. Okay. But someone who hasn't spent as much time on their personal development, or maybe they're coming from an abusive relationship, they might need a little more time to make that shift. So whereas you can do the container in the group for just a quarter of time, three months, and like study a ton and really, do all your homework and come to the 2 coaching classes per month, you can make a profound change. But the recommendation is to stay with us. It's on a quarterly basis. So stay with us for the year just to make sure all the work's internalized, because being within this body of work, we communicate in a different way. We collectively commit to keeping our vibrations at a certain level, because, by the way, that affects all of your dating and relationships. And of course, your manifestations, right? We all want to manifest, but we don't know what's holding us back. Okay. So I recommend to stay there. So the group program, and I love the fact that I'm able to offer something, for most budgets. And if you think about it that way, it's like, what are you spending on, right? And how important is it for you to find love, and where are you putting your funds? Like I try to help you understand that your personal relationship, the quality of it, as you well know, Ina, is just so correlated with your happiness. Now, that's not to say you need a relationship. I'm certainly not saying that you must be in one to be happy. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But if you are in one, let's make it healthy. Let's learn the dynamics of how to communicate, how men feel love, how they respond to everything that we do. Because most women who are unskilled and untrained are chipping away at the polarity in their relationships. Polarity is like another way of saying attraction, but it has nothing to do with physical attraction. I wouldn't say nothing, but that's not what I'm referring to here. We're accidentally damaging our relationships in tricky moments within the relationship, and we don't even realize it. And over time, this really erodes the relationship. And there's so many other dynamics. Of course, men really need to pull their end of the bargain. I'm not saying that they don't. We as a whole, as women, are way ahead in that area. And I think some men are waking up to it. But guess what? It's not like we want to mother them and we want to be their whole source of personal development, but we women are so wise and we're naturally divine. Okay. So how we show up in the relationship will naturally affect him and his growth. And so someone needs to lead the way, and the feminine energy partner really leads so much in the relationship to create like a divine partnership. And if you don't know what you're doing there, it just like you're throwing spaghetti against the wall, and what's your life on the line?
All I'm picturing is overcooked spaghetti sticking to the wall.
So, I mean, look, I made all the mistakes. So when I learned this body of work, I was like, holy shit. Like I literally changed my whole career path because I'm so passionate about supporting other women through it to help them have this easy kind of love that I'm living in my life.
Yeah. It's amazing. Just watching your story, because I've known you for so many years, it really warmed my heart when you found your soulmate. And just like we talked before, my wedding is in a couple of months, and I'm super excited to also live through that story. And I love that you are giving other women this opportunity to live through the stories that we live through. That's incredible. How do you create and continue creating a sustainable business model to be able to help women throughout the years? It's not like you just have, 1 year of coaching school and then done. You've created many, many years of successful business. You've been featured in many publications, in many, across many TV platforms, interviewed by so many different celebrities. So how do you continue creating a sustainable business?
Well, I think the business model is a tricky thing, and it's very important to get support by somebody who's been there. If you have a great coach to support you on your business, you can catapult yourself light years ahead, because the mistakes that they see, they've already made. Same exact thing with love, like I think the coaching industry as a whole is just such a beautiful place where women are just elevating themselves so much within their personal development, and entrepreneurialism is aligned with a spiritual journey. So that's one thing. It's constantly being able to look at yourself and how you can improve, and angling, and how you can do better. So the business model is critically important, and I would say don't just pull it out of your ass. Like, study the models, study the lifestyle around it. How can you sustain the lifestyle, and how can you keep things as simple as possible? So whereas, I do try to simplify, I'm naturally inclined to complicate, right? But I luckily hire people who are smarter than me and who are on my team. So they can say, point things out, and you need other people in your world to guide you. So I think as a whole, like, growth for me personally is so linked to vulnerability. I'm willing to know that I'm not the smartest person out there. Like, I don't want to be. I want to surround myself with people like that. I want to reach out for help, and I want to hire people who can get me there, right? And then as far as like the PR, it just depends like what your focus is. Like, that was something that I really wanted to do. So I took courses on how to gather that, and I went down that path, and I was really able to, to grow in that area.
Yeah. I mean, it really is important to choose exactly strategically what you want to do in your business and then follow through with that strategy. And I see you following through with your different strategies throughout the years, and that's really incredible. What is your favorite thing in your business? Was it the creation of the boot camp? Is it the one-on-one? Like, if you were to sit back and think about it for a moment and think of, like, what is the favorite part about the entire business model?
Sure. Well, as you know, I'm in a very rewarding space, but in also a very emotionally heavy space.
Yeah.
My heart can hold a lot of space for a lot of feelings and such. So what I love is seeing that growth and seeing a result. A result always doesn't have to be, oh, there's a new ManFunnel baby born, which happens all the time, and it makes my day, right? Or a new engagement or marriage. It's just like the new boot campers who just went through saying, like, I used to feel that I had to control everything, and I had such high cortisol, and now it's like I just release, and I feel like, it's kind of like you let go of this push or try with your, soulmate, and then he came and that he was manifested. So even though in the ManFunnel method, we take deliberate action to help you find your person and put yourself in that situation, the whole other side of this is this mindset of like letting go and allowing. And when those two meet, it's so magical. It's like, it just happens. So yeah, of course the results are really good. And then I love group containers. So we have that in the ManFunnel method you asked about. So there's a lower level that's group, and you're able to ask questions in the group. You're able to see me. We come, when we meet in a group, we see each other. So many close relationships get formed. I see women, 2 of them were out in Manhattan last week. I see friendships being formed, all over through the community. So I love community aspect. I love women. I love spending time with women. I love the trips we do. We did a Hamptons retreat last year. We have a flirt night coming up in Manhattan where we're going to go to like my favorite man fishing spots. I use a lot of fishing too. I caught 14 fish a couple weeks ago with my brother in Key Largo. So, well, my brother and I combined. We use a lot of those metaphors, and because, dating doesn't have to be so challenging. It's challenging because we powerful women who think we know everything get in our own way, mainly.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely do. I love the fishing metaphors, for sure, because, it is a fine balance. Everything in life is a fine balance, and so is dating, and so is, getting that one that you want to keep. Like, right? If you keep fishing and the fish is not what you were looking for that day, you're like, okay, bye bye, go back in the water. I love that.
Yes. That's a very good point. You can't be afraid to throw that fish back in the water. And that's one of the big hangups I see you all doing is trying to hold on to a fish who's squiggling and just like ain't trying to stay on the line. Okay. And we get so attached. So our human biology truly gets in the way and we're designed to hold on. So
Yeah.
just like understanding and knowing all of that, which is part of the education of this process, helps you let go and understand like, oh, it's my human species that's like keeping me grasping onto this fish.
Yeah.
Man.
I, I love this. Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the milestones in your business, or like something that was very challenging, but you've overcome the challenge, and then boom, here it is.
I think visibility is a huge challenge for people who are starting their entrepreneurial journey because, of course, in this day and age, you have to you have to be on social media, which is still, consistency with that has been a challenge. Luckily, the media has picked up on my success stories and the ManFunnel model, so I don't have to show up as much because people are just reading about it in the New York Times, right? For example, and then they'll call me ready to buy. So that's a great route. But I don't have a large, extensive outward community and following on social media necessarily. But there's different ways to cut a cookie, right? So I would love to, the times I have shown up consistently, like when TikTok was a little newer and I was like, I'm going to hit this really hard just because my kids, so I have stepkids and they were teens and they didn't want me to touch TikTok. So it gave me this fire and I'm like, I'm going to show them what's up on TikTok. And then I hired, my friend who blew up on TikTok and she coached me and the thing was blowing up and I was so consistent. But the problem is that I have a book of clients. I had a membership community, private clients, and TikTok was a full-time job and I really burned out. So still one of my challenges is, so that helped me get over visibility. You just have to really push yourself and get over. Your biggest triumph is on the other side of your biggest fear. So I think I found a platform where I felt like I could really be myself. And that platform, some platforms I just feel like there's too many high school friends who are judging me on or something like that. There was something about TikTok being that it was all Gen Z at the time that I was like, no one's going to see me on here or whatever. But then I started pulling off great 50-year-old clients who I love working with. By the way, if you are in your 50s, my women in their 50s are doing so well. So many of them have met their person and I'm really proud of that. I just love to help them see that, their magic is still there at any age. So anyway, yeah, visibility. How do you feel about that? How's that been for you? You're very visible and you're great at putting content out there. It's easy when you're so stunning though, right, Ina?
I mean, you would know your content's always so beautiful. Yeah, I takes one to know one. Yeah, I'd say social media is definitely challenging, and it's challenging for everyone. I just so happen to be able to put out consistent content across the platforms. And whenever I feel like I'm not doing enough or I've spent too many days without posting, I just remind myself that I am just one human being and I'm doing a lot. And then I just show up again. But it's important to take breaks because social media burns you out a lot.
That's so great. No, yes, I hit it very hard. And then I should have, once the following was grown, I should have known that I could maybe take my foot off the gas, but still be consistent. Instead, I was like, I need a break. And then I just never went back to TikTok, literally. So that's still an area of growth for me. But I've been building a lot of restructuring my bootcamp, updating everything, doing a lot of back end. And so now I have bandwidth for me and my team to move forward with all of that. So that's one of our 2025 areas of growth and initiatives. And I'm really excited about it. So
I love that. I love that. I can't wait to see what's going to come out of it.
thanks.
Really excited. Tell us a little bit about like what is your most memorable moment throughout your business development?
One of the most memorable moments was when, like I said, I just practiced on women, those 3 women, and they succeeded. So that was one of the biggest things for me. Or actually, here, there's then just even just signing up for my coaching school, and my coach wrote back. She probably wrote it to everybody, okay? My mentor, but she wrote, "You're gonna be so good at this." And that just like I just started like crying. Like it meant
Aw.
so much to me because she'd already changed my life, and I attributed my Rory Ray as my my first coaching certificate, my main mentor, as you know. So she really changed my life, and I just know that the tools are so powerful. I was able to take all that work that I'd studied for years and really condense it with exactly what I did to meet my person quickly. And that's really what, the ManFunnel method is that. Now, so that was a huge moment. And then just some of the big media, like Forbes, for example, was just one thing I really wanted. And then I think that you can truly manifest what you want, right? If you're aligned with it. And so I think some of the big media is always fun, like going on the Tamron Hall show recently and just being on national TV. Well, that's probably the third big show, but like that's always just so fun. I was able to take my mom, and my name was on the dressing room. My mom came backstage. So it was just like really meaningful. Of course, we want our parents to feel proud.
Of course.
So that was like a fun moment, right? But also just like I love being in the room. Like I said, the group of women is just so much fun if you love women and you're a gal's gal, to curate and enjoy those moments. And we all learn from one another.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love all those milestones that you're mentioning. How did it
Mhm.
feel to be interviewed by some of these big publications and national television hosts? Like, how do you feel? Think like I just it really blows my mind when I see somebody succeed to the level where they've started from scratch. No blueprint was given to you. You had to figure it all out on your own. You had the support of your coach, but however, anyone can have a support of a coach. It doesn't mean
Sure.
that you're going to make it happen. You still have to do the work, and you've put in the work year after year after year. So, how does it feel to show up in some of these big publications and be like, "Wow, I did this."
It's just interesting because if you are an entrepreneur, there's moments where you almost give up. Okay. But like what I found is if you're tenacious enough and you somehow stick with it, your next big win is around the corner. And then that win you ride that keeps you going. Like there's so many highs and lows, but if you just stick with it and you make necessary pivots, like it'll happen to you as long as your business, you're in alignment with it. Okay. But like, how does it feel? It just feels like all my blood, sweat, and tears is getting seen right now. So it's just like, this is why I'm doing this thing, is like it is going to reach more people. The Man Funnel has a silly name and it's weird, and it took a lot of bravery to like do that, right? And it comes from something very meaningful. So like when I was designing what I was going to talk about on Tamron Hall, and I didn't include like the man funnel specific, like the steps of the man funnel in it. And they were like, no, 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 Tamron wants the man funnel. And I'm like, okay, awesome, dude. We're doing the man funnel. And so it just feels really good when something that you were really creative or that was strange or people might have ridiculed or think like, what the heck is that? And then you continue to push forward with because of your own innate belief. Obviously, it's very rewarding, fulfilling, fun, magical. When you create something of your own and put it out there and you have a purpose, right? And it's helping people, you're really living your purpose when you're seeing people's lives change, right? And so if that's you and you're feeling a curiosity poking you in the side right now, just take that next step. Like what are 1 to 3 steps? Like what's one step you could take today, and what are the next 3 steps that you could take to just explore it? I think there was some statistic thrown out at a live event that I went to. And by the way, it's so helpful to go to live events with other entrepreneurs. I know Ina hosts these and is, super into that kind of community, because like it just, you learn so much and you're with people going through the same struggles. And somebody on stage said that your side gig is more, your business is more likely to succeed if you have a job. So it's not like you have to go quit your job right away. Like just do something to start, poke the box.
Yeah, I totally agree. And funny that you bring up a live event. I am actually going to be a speaker at a live event in Huntington on March 22nd. Yeah, it's going to be at the Huntington Loft, and it's just a bunch of entrepreneurs all coming together to create a breakthrough experience for lots of curious individuals who are either starting in business or growing a sustainable business or whatever they may be looking to get out of it. So I'm really excited. I love live events, and I have spoken at events, but never in an actual panel or like a keynote. So this is going to be really exciting.
That is awesome. I'm very excited for you.
Yeah.
I'd love to learn more about it. How do we find out more about it?
It's just, I think it's breakthroughexperience.com, or it's hosted by Boss Babes. It's an entrepreneurial group for female entrepreneurs on Long Island here. So it was founded by this amazing entrepreneur, Jessica, and she's running the event. And I was just invited to be a speaker. So that's great. I'm going to be there all day and meeting amazing entrepreneurs and giving a keynote speech and being a part of a panel. So it's really exciting. I love that. Like, I love that you mentioned that going to live events is really important. And I think it's important for anyone who is looking for self-growth and self-development. I love live events. They're really all life-changing.
They really are. They're so profound. And the energy in the room with other entrepreneurial people, especially women, is like so profound.
It's contagious. Yes, you feel like you've been in like the air that's contagious with all the excitement and drive.
Everybody's thirsting for growth in those communities. So I find that it's like tantalizing, to maintain those network with those new friends or whatever, because it's like there's just so much to talk about all these things. Like how there's so much that needs to holistically that you need to bring in really to succeed in your business. But it's all a journey that will elevate your life in so many ways.
Yeah. I have another question for you. What do you see as a growth path for your company this year? You mentioned that social media is something that you're working on with your team, and maybe there's other things that are going on. Maybe you already put them in motion since it's already March, right? I always forget what month it is, and then I'm like, ooh, first quarter is done already. So,
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in this quarter, we've done a major pivot that's seeing awesome results for our clients, where we essentially are like, for the woman who's busy and can afford it, we run her dating life. So I am in Europe and also in New York and LA. I'm connected with pretty much all the top matchmakers. So what I do is my client comes in, we take over she also has to study the work. Okay. This is essential for success. So she has a personal development program of homework. We take over a few of her platforms, dating platforms, and we start running them for her. We start getting her set on dates. And then she is, she's also trained of how to run those dates and knows how to bring that right person home forevermore. Right. Which is a whole part of it. We're not trying to shoot Cupid darts that have rubber on them, so they just bounce off his heart. Okay. We want it to be effective. So then we're networking and introducing her to the matchmakers, where we're also pulling high caliber candidates who are not necessarily online. But what I'm finding is people who don't think that there's great people online. And unfortunately, most of the times they just don't know how to use them effectively, because there aren't a lot of other alternative modalities right now. So they're still monopolizing the space. Of course, we're also encouraging live events and speed dating and all the things. You're not going to really need to do that, because my clients have so many dates. They have more than they can handle. I'm actually encouraging them to make sure that they're doing a ton of self-care and taking it easy, because I don't want them to get overwhelmed like I did on TikTok, right? So we have to just treat our nervous system and our heart and our bodies and what we're putting in our mouth and what we're putting in our brain, that all of that needs to be protected and nourished, right, as we're going through this process. But we've had 2 beta clients so far where we've been running their dating lives like this, but they've already met they're already exploring someone on a deeper level. Ooh. Just after weeks of the process. So that leaves me with room for 2 new clients who want to just show up on dates, right? Of course, you have to do the inner work, but I am so excited about this, Ina. So thank you for asking. We're really doing matchmaking in our own way, and it's so fun and powerful. And they get to see like how easy it can be, and they get to see exactly what I'm saying to these men online, how we're doing it. So it's this pretty powerful process, which long story long, I'll tie it in a bow by telling you that one of my favorite things about what I do is that when a woman learns that it was never her that was unlovable, or that was not the reason why it was tricky out there, because men weren't responding to her for all the reasons she's editorializing and making up in her head. When she learns that actually it's just so much of the process that needed tweaking, it feels really good for someone's confidence. And I want you to feel that confident. I want you to know how lovable you are, how magical you are. So we bring that to you in an inner way, but also through the external validation that you start to get. And that when you get all of that, you just feel so confident and powerful. And anywho,
I love all of the above. I love it so much. I love that you're literally creating families. This is amazing. Like this, you're helping people heal themselves, and you're helping them heal generational trauma, probably, because you're creating these fresh family units in which they throw away these old unhealthy habits and they move into the new realm of creating healthy relationship, which is absolutely remarkable. I've done it, and it feels like you can tell the difference immediately, right? When you're creating
one of the beautiful things, once you're pulling that trauma out and everything, like you can really see who's healthy and who's not. But that generational trauma can stop with you. You do the work, and your children, it's a complete ripple effect through generations, like you're saying, Ina. So that's a great reason to take care of this now and not wait.
Yeah, that's amazing. I am so thankful for you telling us your story, and our listeners are super excited to hear about your story and how you founded ManFunnel. But I wanted to leave them off with, can you tell us a little bit about the idea behind the name? You mentioned that the name was a challenge.
Yes.
And I think for any entrepreneur to find the name that resonates with them, but also can resonate with their potential clients, is always a challenge. So how did you come up with ManFunnel?
It really stems from a job out of college that was very cutthroat, and it was a outside sales position. I had to come in after like being out in the field in New York City and like freezing and not trying to extract business owners from their offices, right? Pitch them. So I would have to come home and fill out this funnel worksheet. It was this shape of a funnel because only 20% of your prospects close, per my very scary boss. And so we would have to fill out like all our leads, because some point one month, like no one was making quota. So they were micromanaging us. And that's when I was like, oh shit, like that math really started to make a lot of sense to me. So my girlfriends would call like upset about a guy, and I would just be like, go fill your funnel, go fill your funnel. And then like two of my other best friends, even a couple of years later, we were still saying like, oh, my funnel this, my funnel that. And then on Mondays, if we would send out this email, mind you, right on our work servers, like we were like 25, okay? And like we would write the funnel report. It was our Monday email to each other. We would like list like what went on with each particular person, who was in the bottom of the funnel, who was in the top, or if we had no one in the funnel. So it just has been something through my friend group that's been there forever. So a ManFunnel represents like who you're exploring, who is in your realm, but it's also a great reminder that there's always another chance at love. There's always someone out there. If you're hurting right now, like if you're accepting less than you deserve, there's a person out there that wants to love you and cherish you and not control you and not feel jealous of your success and wants you to thrive like Ina. And so just that is the symbolism of that to me is extremely meaningful. I grew up watching my mother in a disempowered situation. And it's important that we all can stand on our own 2 feet. And it's important that we have standards and we know how to express them and we know how to choose the right partner and all the things.
Yeah. Oh, so powerfully said. I'm like having goosebumps through this entire conversation. I can feel it. It's so important. The work that you're doing is really incredible and important and so inspiring. I love watching it all. Can you tell our listeners where they can follow you on your social media, on your website, or where can they reach out to you if they're looking for your services?
Thank you so much. Instagram's a great place. You can DM me anytime. I'm right there. Or you can sign up for my 7 text scripts for dating that will make your dating life much easier. It's free. It's my little free gift to everyone here. So just go to the ManFunnel podcast or search Megan Weks, which is Megan is Megan, no H, and Weks is Weks. I'm sure Ina will share that.
Yep.
MeganWeks.com is my website. You can sign up for a discovery call there and learn about the upcoming boot camp opportunity or private coaching, which you asked, Ina, and I didn't answer. It's just like, obviously, you just get you get closer calls with me. You get calls with me. And then the higher levels are where we actually date for you. And you have like on those levels, you have a ton of interface with me. So you're really avoiding any pitfall. But you really, all the levels have access to me personally. So I can oversee and make sure you're not making like time wasting mistakes. Like, I don't know, I was in a situationship for, 4+ years in Manhattan once. So I want to keep you out of situationships. You have to understand how your human biology drives you right into them.
Yeah. Ooh, I can totally relate. Can we all?
Help you be attracted to wholesome guys who want to make your life better and stop like, actually our attraction for the dangerous men is something that we actively work toward releasing.
Yeah. Yay to that. Woo!
That's just really a huge gift. When you start being attracted to the guys who like you, who want to make your life better, your life gets a lot better.
So much better. So much easier. It's incredible. It's a life change, really. Yep. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much again for coming on to Thrive with Ina podcast. I'm really looking forward to sharing your story with our listeners and inspiring women and men out there to, break generational trauma and find their twin flames, their soulmates, their loved ones, and create better lives for themselves and for the future, for their communities, really. Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you again. And I'm really looking forward to hearing this entire episode myself while I'm driving to work.
Thank you so much for bringing me on today.
Of course. And we're looking forward to having you back on. Here's a surprise. We always interview our speakers about a year after to see how their business has grown, what's changed, what are the new milestones. And then we pick a topic that is deeper than just an overview of the business, and we explore it
Yeah.
on bigger depth. So this,
That is so cool. Now you're giving me goosebumps. I just love that idea. So you're so creative, Ina.
thank you. Love it. Anyways, well, we are very much looking forward to everything that you are working on and seeing it all. Thank you again, and we'll see you soon.